Good evening. Thank you. That was Cristina Valdes, a dear friend, a great pianist. So I'm really thrilled was able to come here tonight and do these pieces. We're actually doing things sort of backwards. We're starting with some of the later pieces in the book. I played last night at Town Hall with my friends Ha-Young Kim and Ayesha Brooks in a trio. And for the first time since last March, there were, count them, 15 people in the audience. And this is in a room that I gather holds 880. So it was a, it was a small crowd. That being said, it was just such a blessing and relief to maybe see the light at the end of the tunnel with what's going on with this pandemic. It's been over a year. One of the few bright lights, not that I can really complain, but a very bright light really for me was that in the first couple of months, I took a book of pieces that I had written over the course of a few years and just wrote a whole bunch of new pieces, partly because I was enjoying it and partly because I was inspired to improve the book. One of the things I did, I'd gotten a lot of feedback about the book, a lot of which was very positive, but kind of reminding me that if it was going to be for students, that maybe that they should be graded more, not go from, I'm sorry, I'm going to get into piano nerdism a little bit, but no sharps to 4 sharps in between one tune. So I spent a lot of effort trying to make the whole piece of the whole book a little more graded. So there's now 79 pieces, and it was finally came out a few months ago. You can go to my website and find it, and a few other places. You can get it as a PDF, or you can get it as a book. And I've gathered a whole bunch of pianists I really like, including one of the preeminent piano teachers in Seattle and one of my all-time best and just fantastic student, and some friends in between. So I'm going to play a couple of pieces and then we will move forward. This first piece is entitled Sly, Simple Song. This piece is entitled In a Dream. This next piece is called Far Away, and it's probably one of the few pieces where it was really inspired by feeling far away from so many people that I could not see or be with. Some of these pieces I wrote to kind of look at different technical things to deal with at the piano, and others were more inspired by the idea of sort of introducing a student to certain kind of harmonic ideas. And this had Helly Strayhorn, the incredible pianist who worked with Duke Ellington really his entire life, in mind. And it's called Sweet Pea because that was, the guys in the band called him Sweet Pea. this next piece is called Corral, and it was probably, of all the pieces in this book, a sort of a direct response of loss, particularly in the early couple of months. I don't want to get too much of a downer here. I think I'll just play the tune. And finally, a piece that was written for my brother, and it's entitled William Wayne Horvitz. This next portion is pre-recorded from New York City. Jingci Liu is I believe she's getting her doctorate at University of Connecticut. She got her undergrad at Manus, and she got in touch with me just really a few weeks ago and said, oh, I've been using your pieces with students. I'm wondering if when I return to China that I can use them. And I was like, well, of course. And then when this was coming up, I asked her to pre-record a few pieces. And so she's playing quite a few pieces from the early part of the book, some of them really for people in their first year of piano, etc. So here we go. Great, and I want to thank her so much for doing that. If there's anyone I owe a debt of gratitude about this book, it is my friend Daisy Zients. She helped me with the first book. She's given them to students. Probably more of her students have played it than anybody else's students, at least that I know of. And then when we did this new version, of course, we had a lot of time on our hands, but nevertheless, I went over to her house many times outside with electric keyboards with mass and went through the fingerings and went through phrasing and also just proofreading them over and over again. So it made such a difference. I found all sorts of pieces in the problems with the old pieces, things in the new pieces. And I just want to say thank you. And here she is. Next up, we have Alex Gilbert. Alex and I probably, of all the people playing today, have the most sort of in common in that well, you probably had more classical background than I did, but not really. Well, it wouldn't be hard to have had much more classical background than I had. But that we share a love for American jazz, and we consider ourselves primarily improvisers. And so I'm really thrilled that he's going to do this. Alex also curates and organizes the Piano Starts Here series, which is a series of also solo piano performances that each time are an homage to great jazz pianists who are also great composers. So I'm thrilled to have him here.
I'm going to try not to play jazz.
Thanks, Alex. Speaking of the Billy Strayhorn tune that I played earlier, that piece also was sort of a nod to a pianist and to some extent a composer that I love, the great Floyd Kramer, who was on 5,000 country and western records and a Nashville player for decades and decades. The next little segment we have is going to be pre-recorded. It's quite brief. Only 3 pieces by Chris McCarthy. Chris is actually from Seattle, and he's living in New York now. He was briefly a student of mine, though that was sort of ridiculous. I should have been studying with him. And he went to the New England Conservatory, studied with Fred Hirsch, and now he's in New York. And at least when it's not a pandemic, he's been playing with all sorts of really interesting people. You won't see much of Chris. It's an overhead view, but it's going to be, I've heard it. It sounds great. Here we go. Okay, we're already coming to the end here. The final stretch, we have 3 more pianists. I'm really thrilled to introduce my good friend and musical cohort, Alex Guy, who is a violist and a violinist, but plays a lot of piano. And she also really likes to play rag, so it was no surprise that she chose the one piece from my book entitled Little Rag.
Just for the record, I don't remember there being a choice, but I'm happy to have worked on this piece. I don't even know if this is the mic I talk into. Thanks for having me, Wayne. did prepare some like stories to share, but I forgot all of them, unfortunately. But this next section I do really enjoy playing, so let's see how this part goes. Thanks for having me, Wayne.
Thank you, Alex. And I just want to say that you gave it that true piano recital feeling. You also, ironically, since you're a violin player, played the hardest piece anyone's played so far today. And now I'd like to introduce Robin Holcomb, who I've been with in many ways for over 45 years. And I would really sort of no greater influence, particularly on a harmonic language, than Robin. So it's a thrill to have her play my music. Robin Holcomb. Okay, we have our last pianist. It seems appropriate to me that that our last performer is actually a student of mine. Since after all these pieces were written sort of with the student in mind, the Bartok books that were written for young pianists are sort of legendary, and there's no question that I owe. It's perilously close to plagiarism, this book. The thing about those pieces, particularly for me, and I hope that people who use these pieces feel the same way, and certainly someone that's coming up into music at a younger age, is that they really not only were great pieces to play at the piano and challenging at the piano, but particularly some of the very simplest pieces in them had a kind of direction, at least for me personally, about harmonic language and ideas. And there is still not a lot of pieces that are written with sort of 20th century harmonic ideas or references to, as in one case of the pieces that Kate's going to play tonight, sort of idiomatic, American idiomatic music. That being said, Kate is not just a student. She's probably my best and favorite student I've ever had, and has made amazing progress. She's an incredible pianist. She's a great classical pianist. She's turning into a fine jazz pianist. No pressure, by the way. And so I just thought it would be the best way to end the evening. Kate Molloy. All right, well, that's it. Little Pieces for the Piano. You can go to my website and find them for a PDF download, or you can order the book and it'll come in the mail, just like the old days. And I really want to thank all the pianists who performed this evening, and almost every one of them in some ways or another sort of contributed to the making of the book and giving it life. So thanks so much. As always, we'd like to thank our sound technician, Brad Ruda, and all the people at Loud Swell for doing this. It's been a really great relationship ever since all this came down. We hope we won't be just live streaming soon, but we will still continue to live stream even into the future as things return to quote unquote normal. So thank you so much for coming. Have a great Sunday evening.